Good morning. We will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the June 3rd regular business meeting of the Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Commission. We're glad you're here. Thanks for being here. We will start with the roll call by Tammy, please.
Commissioner Mabry? Here. Commissioner Dill? Here. Commissioner Barwick is absent. Commissioner Holder? Here. Commissioner Zeltz is absent. Commissioner Dillingham? Here. Commissioner King? Here. Commissioner Gaddis?
Here. And if you would, please stand for the invocation by Wade Farrar and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Heavenly Father, I just thank you for delivering us all here safely today. Just pray for protection for those that couldn't be with us. Just pray that you would bless us with your wisdom, your guidance, and your knowledge as we make decisions. Thank you for trusting us with the management of your wildlife resource. In your Son Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I will introduce our guests. We have Annie Farrell with the NWTF, Laura McIver with Quail Forever, Laura, and Rick Grunman with the Wildlife Foundation, and Lynn Hagerman with NWTF as well. Thank you all and welcome. Let's see. And we have some awards to present. Director Free.
So, is this thing on? Now it is. So, I have the honor of recognizing Mickey Wilma, 20 years with the department. Had a hire date of 5/10/2004 as a licensed assistant. That seemed like a long time ago, but probably not so much, right? It goes fast. In 10/10/2005, she promoted to secretary for information education. Now it's an administrative assistant position in CNE. And then 10/1/2011, she transferred to wildlife division and has been there since. A few other notes of importance. She completed the Wildlife Resource Professional Program in 22. She is currently completing level 1 of the Leadership Development Program. She does love hunting and fishing and enjoys it even more when she is more successful than her husband and kills bigger deer than he does, so they argue a lot over who got the biggest buck. She's been a rock in Wildlife Division, assisting staff through transitions like Workday, Office 365, and training and mentoring a lot of new administrative assistants. And you've been there a long time and know your work and do it well. She is devoted to her grandkids. She does her part of R3 by making sure they're all involved in the things we do. And she loves taking them fishing and sharing her love for the outdoors. So Mickey mostly is just a great human being, and that's what makes us great, good people. So right. Mickey, congrats on 20. Here is your letter and congrats. And you get to prepare and give your speech.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I feel a little bit more comfortable than I thought I would. So, nails. I told you I would say it, so he said when I started in CNE, I learned right. He trained me right, so really I started in licensing, but I'll give you that now. And everything that Wade said is true. I love the outdoors and hunting and fishing and raising some grandkids and making sure they're out there all the time. So thank you, and I look forward to retiring with the department, and thank you for your kind words, Wade.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mickey. Very good.
If you can work for nails, you can work for anyone.
All right. And we have a very nice donation from NWTF, Russ. Yeah.
Good morning, thank you, Commissioner. Pleasure to welcome Annie Farrell with the National Wild Turkey Federation. Annie is district biologist, and Annie will share with us some of what Turkey Federation has done for us and how they're going to help us out at this meeting as well. Welcome, Annie.
Thank you, Russ. I am Annie Farrell. I'm the district biologist for the National Wild Turkey Federation, covering Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. I cover all of our conservation programs in those 4 states. But the reason I'm here is for our Waterways for Wildlife initiative. This initiative is a landscape level initiative covering 10 states, Texas and New Mexico up to North Dakota and Montana. And we designed this initiative to address critically urgent conservation needs in riparian ecosystems in the Great Plains. We've been building this initiative for years. Started out with the Northern Plains Riparian Restoration Initiative, NPRRI, and it's expanded down to the south. So we finally launched in 2022. Since then, the NWTF has funded 52 projects across the 10 states, totaling $607,000 in grant funds with $24.6 million in partner match, impacting 42,600 acres and nearly 180 stream miles. So these grant funds are coming from private donors and NWTF state super funds, which come from the proceeds of our hunting heritage banquets. So thank you if you are an NWTF volunteer in Oklahoma. You have contributed to this initiative. And each of these projects that we're funding through the Waterways for Wildlife initiative range from fencing and livestock grazing infrastructure projects to planting trees, shrubs, and native grasses, removing invasive species, land acquisitions, outreach and research projects, and conservation easement restoration. So of those 52 projects, 6 of them have been in Oklahoma in partnership with the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation. NWTF has granted ODWC with $104,500 for projects since we launched on Black Kettle WMA, Pack Saddle WMA, Canton WMA, Hayburn WMA, and most recently, Beaver River WMA and Lexington WMA. 3 of those 6 projects have been completed so far, impacting 2,500 acres already. While we have many different types of projects, as I mentioned, the majority of the projects in Oklahoma have all focused on invasive species removal. So species like eastern red cedar and salt cedar grow thick on the landscape and outcompete other important native species. And with roost tree availability being one of the single most limiting factors for Rio Grande wild turkeys in western Oklahoma, it's important to remove these invasive species to clear out the understory for wild turkeys so that they can utilize the space better and have places to roost and avoid predators. Removing the eastern red cedars also helps with wildfire mitigation, as those cedars can serve as ladder fuels if they're not properly maintained, which can easily destroy a cottonwood gallery in one wildfire. We go more in depth on all of these projects on the NWTF Waterways for Wildlife website, which is nwtf.org/program/Waterways for Wildlife. And I also had the pleasure of filming a segment for Outdoor Oklahoma that showcased the Waterways for Wildlife initiative while we were doing work on Pack Saddle WMA. So me and Marcus Thibodeau got to film, and it is on YouTube. I double-checked last night. It was posted in September 2023. So if you want to go see more about the Waterways for Wildlife projects we've done in Oklahoma, you can go check it out there. So that brings me to this year's grant award, and the big check that I have here in my hands. It is for Beaver River WMA and Lexington WMA. The Beaver River WMA project is going to improve 10 acres of riparian habitat along 10 stream miles of the river through invasive species removal and then subsequent cottonwood tree planting. So following those restoration efforts, the site will be used as a demonstration area where ODWC can host landowner field days to encourage other land managers to focus on their cottonwood regeneration on their own properties. And then likewise on the Lexington WMA project, that one is 156 acres of invasive species removal through mulching to bolster turkey roost tree availability and riparian health. And this site will be maintained with fire in the future. So these 2 projects that I just mentioned are just part of the bigger Waterways for Wildlife picture for 2024. So I want to say that just in 2024, NWTF and its partners are investing nearly $16.2 million on 16 projects. These projects, including the ones in Oklahoma, are not just about the immediate restoration, but also about building resilience and ensuring the long-term health of riparian ecosystems in the 10-state region. Projects slated for 2024 will enhance over 60 stream miles, nearly 5,750 acres of riparian habitat, and more than 16,400 adjacent upland acres. So we are so excited to give these grant funds to ODWC and continue our partnership far into the future.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. I tell you, that the partnership with NWTF is just wonderful, and we really appreciate beyond words what
So do we.
y'all do.
Likewise.
Wow, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
We have a, yeah.
Thank you,
Don.
Annie. And as always, $27,500 donation today will be matched with 3-to-1 with PR funds for a total of $70,000.
Okay, I think we need a motion to thank you so much. Do we have,
Second.
okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Mabry? Aye. Commissioner Dill? Aye. Commissioner Holder? Aye. Commissioner Dillingham? Aye. Commissioner Kane? Aye. Commissioner Gaddis?
Aye, thank you again very much.
When I scooch in. Okay. Now, if I say scooch in, I'll let you. If you would hold that check downward for me.
Thank you again, NWTF. Wow. Okay, do we have a motion to approve, amend, reject, or take other action on the minutes from the May 6th meeting? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mabry? Aye. Commissioner Dill? Aye. Commissioner Holder? Aye. Commissioner Dillingham? Aye. Commissioner Kane? Aye. Commissioner Gaddis?
Hi. Wade, please.
Okay. I'm gonna start out with some calendar items. And maybe a surprise for some. So, calendar items, today through the rest of the week was the WAFA meeting in Washington. And at least a couple people that are in the building today were supposed to be there, particularly one in the second row, Bill Dinkins, who spent yesterday afternoon, a Sunday afternoon in an airport, and the flight never happened. And finally, they just canceled them, so we're minus a couple people at the WAFA meeting. Bill said spending the afternoon in the airport for hours without food is not a fun thing to do. And thanks to Andre and Lindsay, neither was a 3-hour budget meeting yesterday, so thank you all for the things we have to do sometimes. So Bill's here today, so Jim, Commissioner Barwick, is the only one representing us up there. So if you get a call, what happened to Bill or others, he's here, and it's all about Delta Airlines. So June 16th to the 21st is the ODWC Youth Camp at the Biological Station in Kingston. I'm going to say that's probably one of the coolest, best camps anywhere in the country. You may know folks, kids that have been part of that, participated. We've got a lot of good employees that run that show, and it's not because they have to, it's because they believe and want to. So 16th through the 21st. It's also not as easy as it used to be to get in that camp. It's quite a process to be accepted into that, so cool deal. Foundation meeting is today at 2 p.m. I do have a raffle update presented and given to me by C&E Division, just so you'll know. Our combined controlled hunts and raffle generated $335,426, which is up considerably, maybe quadruple.
Wow.
It has to do with some targeted marketing and some initiatives within the department and C&E, and it's like through the roof. So from point guard to preference points to additional hunts to the raffle hunts and items, $335,000, pretty impressive. On the raffle side of it, one thing to note, thanks to the foundation who actually paid for a hunt, and then we raffled it. That thing generated about $90,000, so quite a return on the investment. So good work to the foundation there. So good deal on all that, and hopefully we'll find out soon if we drew any hunts, so looking forward to that. On some of the other update stuff, administration, human resources, federal aid, and others license, been just keeping the lights on and the bills paid and just grinding it and keeping things moving. I'll go through here and kind of keep it short. As expected, lifetime license sales are up, and non-resident deer license sales are up, and a lot of the license figures are up. Fisheries division, lots of fish stocking, a lot of trips north to bring back walleye eggs, Colorado and Nebraska. We figured out how to get more eggs cheaper by going other places than trying to do it ourselves on some of our local lakes, so it's been a big win. So good work to whoever came up with that idea. Lots of fishing clinics, electrofishing, lots of creel surveys, largemouth bass sampling, a lot of research projects going on, a lot of other habitat work, still working on jet beaver, more electrofishing, and a lot of A&S coordination going on around the state. In C&E division, a lot of teacher training courses being presented. We started some commission work for the 2025 art for the licensed hard cards, a lot of new fishing bulletins being put out and released. Arcadia projects continuing, working with other NGOs, and a lot of shooting range activity going on across the state. In Wildlife Division, they summarized turkey harvest, which showed about 6,100 turkeys checked statewide. Bill, is that up, down, or up? Okay. So for years, you know, especially in the Southwest and West, we were concerned, and still are, about turkey populations, but there are some pockets where things are looking a little better, and we're seeing poults and a lot of jakes, so a lot of good indicators that things are looking up a little bit. If you saw Marshall's video that we just talked about earlier of the hen on the side of the road that had a whole bunch of little ones that she was protecting, pretty impressive if you haven't seen it, but when you can see that many little ones under a hen's wings, pretty encouraging that things are looking up. And he said that was on Mother's Day, so that was even more cool, right? So she had lots of babies. Lots of surveys, prairie chicken, working on WDU units. We hosted the Waffle Wild Turkey Technical Committee meeting at Pack Saddle. Big success, a lot of participation there. Lots of technical assistance in wildlife, shooting ranges, a lot of wildlife research and diversity work going on, and preparation for the annual big game report is underway. In law enforcement, lots of good turkey, fishing, baiting, and trespass cases. And the big news was we had a successful and well-attended pinning ceremony for the new wardens here in the office. Got some great new folks hitting the ground, so you probably met some of them, and we're glad to have them as part of the team. They're going to get the entertainment award again this month for a case I'll mention here in a minute, but they had a lot of pistol training, hunter ed and aquatic ed instructor courses, in the process of testing, and those of you on the finance committee had heard about testing printers in the field, so they can do a lot of that stuff from their units. A lot of skins and skulls, fishing derbies, assisting with archery and shotgun shoots, more fishing clinics, a lot of good striper cases, matter of fact. Kind of old news, but a lot of folks did attend the fish fry at the Capitol. A lot of trespass complaints and cases. Assisting with the Game Warden Academy. More turkey baiting. It's amazing how many people have to bait turkeys to kill a turkey, but they still do it, and we catch them. So if you got your feeder within 100 yards of your turkey blind, the game warden's probably going to get you. So 100 yards. A lot of illegal investigative work on some bear cases that even involved fraud. We had a case where we had to, and it seems like that happens a lot, assist local law enforcement agencies on welfare cases and other officers in cases where anything from ambulances to like stuff involved even within cities and communities where we assist with those. Here's the winner for the entertainment award. I'll just name him. Warden Zane Arnold, while attempting to locate a vehicle in a flooded area, he was approached by somebody with a rebar spear. I never even knew what that might be. Maybe a homemade spear made out of rebar, with several knives on his belt that approached him from a nearby wooded area. Anyway, there was quite an altercation. The spear was apprehended, so was the perpetrator. But you never know what you're going to run into out there. So that might be a first report I've heard of as being approached by a rebar spear. If I was going to make a spear, I don't think I would make it out of rebar. If you know what rebar is, you got to know metal works to do that. So a lot of other stuff with assisting with the approved laser active shooter program. I know somebody in here went peacock bass fishing recently. We actually confiscated 2 peacock bass in Oklahoma, so you never know. Everybody knows what a peacock bass is, right? Another cool one, mountain lion report. Lots of mountain lion reports that can turn into house cats and or serval cats. So not everything you see out there is a mountain lion. So busy in law enforcement.
Mr. Free, may I add one item on law enforcement? I had the opportunity to attend the Oklahoma Game Warden Association annual banquet in District 3. It was in Poto Saturday night. I appreciate them inviting me, and I got to talk to a lot of game wardens and meet a lot of their families, which was very nice. So we had a great evening, and then the annual game they play where they draw a table. You go out to the center and there's a bunch of prizes, and of course I sat at Marshall Ray's table and we were the last table drawn that night. But the prize that I wanted was still out there, and I'd like to show this off. It's a 1986-87 hunting season regulations, and you know there's a 3-deer limit back in those days. Very limited on does. Of course, no elk, no bear. And I do need to request of Nate to watch this because Commissioner Dillingham also graduated in '86. And so when I go back and meet him, would you mind keeping an eye on him? I want to appreciate the opportunity to attend. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Like I said, if you frame that, it'll be worth a lot of money. Someone's going to steal that from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Commissioner Dill did ask, maybe somebody in the room, those posters I think go back to maybe the 50s or at least 60s, but I don't think there's a complete collection anywhere. But if some of y'all remember the game farm upstairs in what was the library, there used to be just stacks of stuff like that, old outdoor Oklahomas and posters, but some of them are even showing up on the eBay and bringing some money. But anyway, that might be somebody's missing poster that they want. So look out. So you do have your federal and congressional update in your packet, and I'll end this with, Nels, do you have any updates on local legislation and the end of session that you want to cover?
Appreciate that, Wade. Yeah, just the one item that did pop up in the last week of session, I sent an email. There was a Senate override of the governor's veto of Senate Bill 922, which you may remember limited the number of non-residents to 10% of available tags for hunting seasons with limited tags that essentially only applied to our controlled hunts. However, the House did not take up the override, and so that governor's veto stands. The bill would not really have impacted us, the 10% mark, just for y'all's benefit. We run 5 to 6% non-residents actually getting drawn in our controlled hunts program, so it's not really a significant issue, but that was the only thing that really popped up there And then I'd be glad to answer any questions if you had any. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 bills were passed and signed into law. And you should have a copy of that in your packet.
Any questions?
No, just a comment. Thank you for jumping in and filling in and all your hard work for this legislative session.
Yes,
Good job.
the whole team, including Game Warden Association and everybody. Pick the village. All right, we're at item 10. Lindsay, with the financials?
All right, good morning. Thank you, Chairwoman Gaddis, Commissioners. We'll get started on the April 30th, 2024 financial statements. I actually titled it Reports because it is going to look a little different. I kind of get into some of the changes that have been happening. ODWC was on a legacy system that was developed for Y2K. It was developed in the 90s. This company that developed it is no longer in business. The only person kind of keeping it alive is our one IT person who is going to retire in a few years, and so it just was time to switch. We've been talking about this transition to the PeopleSoft financial system because we were already using kind of a shell of that because that's the state system, but most of the details for our stuff was captured in BTG and then PeopleSoft just to get warrants and money coming in. So the decision to move to PeopleSoft, like I said, we talked about it for years. It's a state system, that way we don't have to reconcile to, and it's very expensive to do that, and this is supported by the state, OMES, so it just made sense to move to that system. We're currently utilizing general ledger, purchasing, accounts payable and receivables, grants, projects, contracts, and asset management were all the modules that we moved over. Preparation and testing spanned more than a year, and we went live April 1st. Our previous statements that you're used to seeing was a delivered report out of the legacy system. I would reconcile it all, input the data, and then it would spit out the reports the way that you're used to seeing them. So those are kind of a thing of the past. We will be moving to something new. We are meeting with our CPA firm later this week to kind of talk about what that needs to look like, because part of the transition was moving from a cash basis accounting to accrual basis on our receivables, which changes the way some of those funds are going to report, because used to revenue would balance to a cash, like a fund balance. It's not going to do that anymore because we haven't necessarily collected it yet, even though the system has recognized it as revenue. So while we transition through this, I've kind of picked some stuff to highlight today to show you some stuff that I think is of importance so that you can see kind of where the agency is at this point. These are our cash balances in our revolving funds as of April 30th. Our general fund was at $5 million. The diversity fund, which is only can be spent on diversity-related species, non-game. Our wildlife land acquisition fund. The heritage fund is the senior citizen sales. And then the wildlife land fund is the legacy, often referred to as the legacy. So a total fund balance in our revolving funds of $24,383,560. The next slide is expenditures comparison, FY24 over FY23. In 24, so far through April 30th, we're at $45,358,172, which is about a 7% increase over April 30th last year. Our revenue comparison, 24 over 23, we are up 12%. And sometimes that's affected by just depending on what projects we do and if they're federally reimbursed, if we've gotten to the point that we've been reimbursed for them yet, but we are up. The license sales, lifetime license sales trust account, our total current balance is $139,536,199. Of that, the expendable portion is at $38,576,109. This is a statement of revenue expenditures and changes in fund balance for the pension trust, so this is our DB plan. As you can see, we lost a little bit in interest income last month, but we have an ending fund balance of $134,349,171. And this is on our DC trust, the newer retirement plan. It also lost a little bit in interest this last year, or this last month, but our ending balance is $8,412,165. And lastly, this is the list of contributions for your consideration.
Lindsay, I'd like to explain to the other commissioners and our guests that we've been aware of this change coming forth on our accounting system, and it's been a challenge for them. I would encourage the other commissioners, we do have some flexibility in what we want to see on these monthly financials when they're designing all of this. So if there's certain things you would like to see, get with us and we'll make sure it's in there. So we'll have a little bit of flexibility on the way this is going to be presented and what you will see. The girls have worked really hard on this, and it's not finished. They probably like another few weeks working all the quirks out and getting with the accounting firm. But I think within a month probably we'll be back to where we were. So they've done a good job.
Any other questions or comments? And do we have a motion? We've got some contributions to accept.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Dill? Commissioner Holder? Commissioner Dillingham? Commissioner Kane? Commissioner Gaddis?
Aye. Thank you very much, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Item 11 is Andrea.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll kind of set this one up, a little bit of explanation to the folks here on how the budget process worked. So first of all, I got to thank the chiefs and assistant chiefs. It all starts there, working with their divisions and their presentation of their individual division budgets. So thanks to the chiefs and assistant chiefs, without them, we wouldn't even have a start. So a lot of work there. This year, more than ever, the Finance Committee was engaged, Commission Finance Committee. We've been meeting at least every other week, sometimes weekly since early April. So the process has been Finance Committee engagement as we move along. Once the divisions prep their budgets, moved them up, then Finance Committee, myself, Andrea, Lindsay, Vicki, were part of those weekly meetings. It seemed like it was every other day or every day, but that was kind of part of the process, which some bumps in the road, but overall it felt like it went fairly smooth, keeping everybody communicated and up to date on kind of how we were doing it and moving along. Some of the highlights were focused on some additional revenue that let us do some infrastructure stuff, some CapEx stuff, focused on how we spend state dollars and what the best match is. Like in some cases for shooting ranges, we're moving into some 90-10 money. So sometimes the bottom line looks a little elevated or increased, but when it's 90-10 money, it's not as concerning because we're maximizing that cost share. And then on things like WMAs and hatcheries and others, if we can get that 75% federal match, that bottom line state dollars is not as high as it looks if you're looking at it. And then we looked at things like employee compensation, looking at the market, which is part of the Hay Group system that we've agreed to keep up with for years now, and how that's trending. And then even looked at retirees and COLAs there. So nothing like a first official in your new role commission presentation for Andrea, and the budget would be like the worst thing you have to present. So she's diving head first. So thanks especially to Lindsay, Andrea, and Vicki for helping me through all this, and the chiefs and assistant chief and the finance team. We couldn't have done it without that team approach. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay,
Okay, thank you. As Wade mentioned, it was really, the focus this year was on collaboration. So it was a really collaborative process. He's already stole some of my thunder here, but the divisions identified their baseline budgets and their add-on requests and capital expenditures. And then federally, my previous role, we estimated the grant revenues based on the projects that the divisions had identified. Accounting and license estimated other revenue sources. Human resources developed the personnel budget. And then we had additional meetings with each division to review what they had come up with and kind of go over those details. As Wade mentioned, the Commission Finance Committee met a whole bunch of times. I was included in the last two of those. And then that last meeting, the Finance Committee also met with division leadership to kind of go over what they were requesting. So very collaborative. Lots of additional hours. Wade mentioned 3 hours yesterday, but he didn't mention the 8 hours that Lindsay and I spent Saturday and 5 on Sunday. Whatever, it's been a lot. But we're at the finish line. Woo. Okay, so this is a FY 23, 24, and 25 comparison budget. And I want to draw your attention. I'm going to kind of work from the bottom back up towards the top. The very bottom line is that this is a 22% increase in the budget, $96,340,315. That's a lot. 22% is a lot. We acknowledge that. Wow. So there are a couple things that came together to allow that to happen. We have some funds coming from the Lifetime Trust Fund, which Lindsay's presentation just demonstrated that we have $38 million in expendable trust, so we're pulling some from that. And then the license bill, that was huge, right? So we have an estimated $10 million of license dollar revenue in the future, but we have a more conservative amount budgeted into our FY25 budget until things get going and we actually see the dollars coming in. We felt like a smaller amount should be conservatively budgeted. We also, that license bill also removed some of the restrictions that we had on a couple of our funds, Funds 220 and 210, the land funds. So those funds can now be put to other uses that they were previously not able to be funded to be used for. So that removes some, or frees up some cash. And I think those are the main reasons why we have the capacity to do this. So altogether, that brings us to a place where we can do some really good stuff. And the fact that the Commission and the Finance Committee are supportive of this is just really an indication of y'all's support for the department and the good things that we're doing, because we have a lot of stuff that's been needed to do for years, and we've been talking about the revenue, needs, and I'm really excited about it. I know everybody appreciates it. Okay, so starting at the bottom working from the bottom, the bottom two things that you see are lifetime transfers to the Lifetime Trust Fund of $3.5 million. That's an in and out. We have to show that on both revenue and expenditure side because that's the money collected that we don't spend but put into the trust fund. The one above that, $1.1 million, is similar, but that is money that we collect for federal duck stamps, controlled hunt fees on federal property, Lake Texoma fishing license, so money in and out. And you'll see these monies in and out several times throughout this presentation. Capital expenditures, huge, 54% increase. This additional funding allows us to do some things that we really needed, like a backlog of stuff, like you're going to see a whole bunch of information on capital expenditures later in the show, but Watauga Dam, like some major dam renovations, hatchery renovations, shooting ranges, habitat work, various repair jobs and habitat things around the state. So it's a lot, but it's very much appreciated. The middle section is operations, and that collectively is up 7%. I'll kind of just hit the highlights in each one of them. Administration division it shows down 34%, but that's really a reflection of some major projects being completed. We had our PeopleSoft software conversion contract that is now complete. Also, law enforcement had an overhaul upgrade on radios that is now complete. That's in the IT budget. So admin includes the IT budget, so that's why it's shown there. Some additional things that admin will accomplish this year. We have some funds for additional server array storage replacement, security in the building. This needs some upgrading. A couple of pool car replacements. So there are some things in our $4.3 million budget for admin. Wildlife shows an increase of 32%. That's largely related to replacing some equipment needs. They had delayed replacement of equipment for several years, and so they have 6 tractors that are in that have a lot of hours on them, 4,000 to 5,000 hours, 4,000 to 6,000 hours, something like that, a lot of hours on them. Also some skid steers, some other habitat work and bridge things just on the landscape projects that they're working on, as well as research. Fisheries, up 16%. That is related, they have a lot of new research projects that they're starting, more A&S work, aquatic nuisance species stuff. Some contracts for like restroom cleaning and mowing. And then law enforcement, I think the biggest part of that increase is related to replacing some trucks that they had delayed for a couple years. Now the top part is the salary and benefits, an overall increase of 18%, and that includes several different things. It includes a cost of living for the senior citizen, lifetime license, retirees. I'll get there. So a cost of living for, I guess they may be senior citizens, I don't know. Cost of living for retirees, it's got two components to that. Last year we gave retirees a 1% cost of living adjustment, but only funded half of it in FY24, and the remaining half is being budgeted in FY25. That was agreed last year, and an additional 2% cost of living adjustment for retirees. Also, some pay band adjustments, like Wade mentioned, the market adjustments across the board. We're making some adjustments to pay bands for all employees, as well as an overall pay raise for employees. Okay, these next two slides are one report called the Revenue Estimate Summary. And again, the top two things there, when I mentioned you're going to see money coming in and out, that non-spendable revenue at the top, there's the $3.5 million from the Lifetime Trust Fund, or from Lifetime Sales that has to go to the Lifetime Trust Fund. In the spendable portion, the big item there is the $27 million estimated revenue for licensed sales, and you can see that that's up more than $6 million from last year. $6 million of that is our anticipated increase in revenue as a result of the license bill. There's a little bit more than that because there's always just a little bit of increase in sales. So, but that's a big chunk of money there. Halfway down, grant revenue up from $37 million to $39 million. That's a reflection of the projects that divisions have identified to work on. So as expenses go up, so does grant revenue. So our total spendable revenue is $79,237,089. That carries over onto this next page. We also have, in the unexpended funds line, we have $12,560,227, and that is a combination of the funds that were in that fund 220 and 210, some of those being freed up to help fund everything, as well as carryover of unused funds in Fund 200 for our current fiscal year 24, and also cash on hand donations received, like the one we received today from National Wild Turkey Federation and other stuff from the foundation and other conservation donors. So our budget from the previous colorful slide was $96,340,315. When you subtract out the $4.6 million, that's that money coming in and out that has to be for lifetimes and federal duck stamps and things like that, your new revised budget is $91,737,315, which is a difference of $60,001 of unobligated funds. So we're balanced. These next three slides, and this is in your packet, it's the same information but with more detail. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. It's exactly the same information, but it's just all the categories are broken down into the details. If you have any questions, stop me. Because then we get into the fun stuff, the capital expenditures. So this is broken out by division. This is Wildlife Division's capital expenditure budget of $4,037,341. We have a bridge replacement on Cherokee WMA. We're doing some engineering for that. Hackberry Flat Pipeline, that's an ongoing project. We need to keep carrying it into the budget until it's complete. A collection of various habitat projects across the state that totaled $888,200. Land leases for you can see the list there, total $1.9 million. And then land acquisitions of $672,000. Fisheries capital expenditure, I mentioned earlier, so Watonga Dam renovation, Jat Beaver repair, both of those are still using, off to the right, you'll see there's still some NERDA money remaining in the bank that is associated with those two projects. The Manning Reservoir, that is, the Manning hatchery needs some big stuff, and it's $5.6 million budgeted, And this is the place where being able to free up some additional state-side funds really helps. Various facility repairs around the state, roofs, floors, things like that. And then a list of boating access and close-to-home fishing projects, all of which there are no state dollars involved because the third party provides the match for those projects. And this is our C&E capital expenditure list. A lot going on with shooting ranges. There's a whole bunch of things all happening at the same time. Some of it's construction, some of it's environmental assessment, some of it's engineering. One of it, the top one is the City of Altus, so that one doesn't have any state dollars because the city is providing the match. I guess I would point out that the important part on the shooting ranges is that the total expenditures are $6.6 million, and there's only $600,000 in state funds. And that's partly because of the 90-10 and partly because C&E's done a good job of bringing in some donations. And very last is the Arcadia facility, our building out there. We have some drainage problems around the building, and we're working with that and also resurfacing some of the parking lots. And that is our budget proposal.
Very good information, and thank you. And I know that it's been an effort by so many, and can't thank you all enough.
I would like to, Chairwoman, I'd like to address the budget. The Finance Committee felt like we needed to be more involved this year based on we were estimating revenues from this license bill and wanted to be prudent in not overspending but yet be able to do the things we felt like was really necessary to get done this year. And what that includes is a 16% pay raise across the board for everyone. That includes a $1.8 million COLA. The COLA, that sounds like a lot, but when we do the numbers, we have 362 active employees and we have 258 retirees. So those retirees have got a 3% bump over the last several years when we've seen inflation at 17 or 18% total over the same years. So we felt like that was a prudent thing to do. We're using 60% of what we estimate our new revenue will be from the license bill. And if Wade would just shut down the license department right now and not reopen it till July the 1st, it would probably be a lot better because we're getting a lot of out-of-staters buying their license right now before the prices go up. But anyway, so it is kind of a wild card on what we're going to generate this first year. We know last year when I gave this talk, we did a 3% pay raise, and you know, my point was is that wasn't commensurate of what you're doing for the department. We knew that wasn't enough. I think this gets us a long way with the 16%. There's still some inequities. Some of the department heads have brought it up and made very good points on some things that still aren't probably equitable throughout the departments. And to address that, we put some money in the budget to do a comprehensive salary study with other states surrounding us and try to put some really applicable things in there like cost of living and try to really compare apples and apples of what our employees are making compared to other states. And there's no doubt that, we've already seen some areas where we need to make more adjustments. And if you'll give us a year, I think we can get there. It came a long way, but we still got some work to do. And we want it to be a great place for everyone to work. They're all paid what they deserve. And I think this committee and the commission is behind that 100%. So anyway, that was the only caveats I had. The girls did a fantastic job. They've been going through this conversion at the same time they're trying to do the budget, and it was, you know, they've had a hard go of it, but anyway, thank y'all. And I would make a motion that we approve the budget.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
And any more questions, conversation, comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mabry? Commissioner Dill? Commissioner Holder? Commissioner Dillingham? Commissioner Kane? Commissioner Gaddis?
Aye. Thank you, and Andrea, one more.
This other item is related to the cost of living for the retirees, which was embedded in the presentation that we just gave, so I'm not sure what else I need to say on that.
I would just add, in addition to what Commissioner Holder already shared, is that on the COLA side of things, unlike a percentage increase that's annual for our current staff, the COLA is funded 100% of the estimated total cost up front. So that is another reason why that number is as large as it is because we're pre-funding in the budget the total estimated cost through its entirety of its lifespan of that. And I also would make a motion that we approve this item as the COLA is presented.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mabry? Commissioner Dill? Commissioner Holder? Commissioner Dillingham? Commissioner Kane? Commissioner Gaddis?
Aye. Thank you again, Andrea. All right, Commissioner Zelps is last minute absent, so I believe Chad was going to.
Yes, the nominating committee met a couple weeks ago and is recommending a slate as follows for the coming year. Commissioner Barwick is chair, Commissioner Holder is vice chair, and Commissioner Mabry is secretary treasurer. And so that is our slate, and would be happy to open it up for any questions.
Questions or comments, I guess? We have a motion.
And so the committee would make that in the form of a motion.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mabry? Commissioner Dill? Commissioner Holder? Commissioner Dillingham? Commissioner Kane? Commissioner Gaddis?
Aye. And I also want to thank you all for this awesome group. It's been my honor to serve the last 3 years as chairman. I've learned a lot and look forward to next year.
And I would like to just state on behalf of the entire commission, Lee, what a phenomenal job you've done and what an honor it's been to serve. We've had a lot of challenges that we've had the opportunity to address during your tenure, and you've done it with a steady hand and with a lot of grace and determination and focus, and we appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure. Okay. Should be that on there. Yeah. Yeah, we did. Okay. Any new business that was unforeseen? Oh, we do have one, yes. Piece of new business.
Yeah, I believe it's hot. There's now an announcement that don't like to come up here and have to make, but found out over the weekend that Steve Sherrod passed away, May 26th. Steve, a lot of us in this room had a chance to meet Steve there at the dinner before the October Commission meeting. Steve was a stalwart in Oklahoma conservation. He was the founding executive director of the George Mish Sutton Avian Research Center. He was an avid falconer. Some of the eagle work that they did here in Oklahoma, when they started that work, there were no nesting pairs of bald eagles in Oklahoma. Now we have over 300 pairs known of nesting eagles. So his passion for wildlife and the wildlife community, birds in particular, and Steve, he was not known just locally, not known here in Oklahoma, but his work literally reached around the world. So saddened to lose Steve, but appreciate the life that he gave for conservation.
Absolutely. Wow. Our condolences to his family, too. Thank you. Appreciate that, Russ. Any other new business that was unforeseen prior to 24 hours? Okay. Well, our next meeting is scheduled for August. Looks like the July 1st meeting doesn't have enough agenda, so we will adjourn the meeting. Appreciate y'all being here. Thank you.